A lot of people only know their growing zone and then they tend to fail because they're comparing one growing zone to another. But climate is a huge factor in what you can and cannot grow and when to grow it. Let's take, for instance, my growing zone 7B in central Maryland. 7B tells me what my average low temps are and what plants are most likely to survive as annuals or perennials in my zone. It is not tried and true. Just because something says that it can survive in a zone as low as 7 does not mean that it will. And it doesn't mean that it will thrive in zone 7 either. That doesn't mean that I won't try, because I will always try to grow something if it says that it's anywhere near my zone. But I never get upset because a plant does need certain conditions and sometimes my area just doesn't have them. Your zone does not mean your weather or your climate. And even then, your property is going to have certain microclimates that will determine whether crops can survive in one part of your yard versus another. For instance, my property is on a small slope, so those beds that are at the bottom of the slope, they're going to get a frost before the ones at the top. And my garden that's close to the house is going to get residual heat from the house because the sun is going to hit the siding and it's going to warm up the garden faster. And as the sun is traveling in the sky, I know that the afternoon sun is going to be really harsh on one side of my garden, but it's not going to be too bad on another side. But these are things that I'm aware of after years of gardening in this space. And what's interesting, my next door neighbor, who happens to be my father-in-law, doesn't have to deal with a lot of these issues. But we have the same overall weather conditions. This is why it's really important to talk to your neighbors before you garden. Ask them if the weather conditions are really what it says online. I know that if I look up Central Maryland Zone 7B, it'll say that we have mild winters. Now, some of our winters can be mild, but anyone that's lived in Central Maryland knows that sometimes we can get a lot of snow. And sometimes we deal with ice and below zero temperatures, and wind chill that can get well below zero. Now, if you're living in northern Montana, you're probably thinking, yeah, that sounds mild. But mild to me doesn't mean feet of snow, which is what we have been known to get. The point is, ask your neighbors what the conditions are. That's going to give you way more information than anything you can read online.